Hey, good morning, all. I'm just getting my first cup of coffee and having a few meetings set up. My day job, if you will. Um, very interesting times that we live in. I think the main thing is what's happening on my side, and what you're probably experiencing on your side is, where do I get information? And a lot of the social media kind of quasi news outlets I typically listen to, a lot of them are kind of disappearing. So, for those of you who did kind of pay attention to Q and did kind of pay attention to some of those other, there was a point made a couple years ago about like 10 days of darkness or whatever you want to call it. Now, whether that's what we're experiencing now or not, I mean, it was somewhat foretold. Without kind of going down the rabbit hole of Q and whether you believe it or it's conspiracy or not, there was a lot exposed, and there was a lot of information kind of provided that was very eye opening. Regardless of the intent, malintent, or whatever it may have been. So take it for what it's worth. I was never a deep anon Q guy, if you will. I watched it. I looked at it. It was interesting, and it kind of affirmed a lot of the other things that I was coming to understand and realize. Pedophilia, satanic, blackmail and bribery of our politicians, corruption, all that good stuff. Things that I've known for a long time existed in Washington, which is why I got so pissed off. Bush too, and I was internalizing the want for someone to go in there and just in a china shop and just break glass and kick ass and take names and change things and fix things. So, so yeah, you've heard me say that before. So, whether it was nefarious, malintent or not, there was a lot of information that was exposed. And if you go back a couple of years in 2018, there is some posts that sure as hell look very relevant in what we're experiencing now. So in any event, back to my original point, a lot of the outlets where we're getting information is going dark. A lot of the channels and people that I listen to on YouTube are going dark. There's some backup channels that I listen to. It's good that you want to know what's going on, but at the same time, you have to be cognizant of the fact that if we know it, the simpletons that we are, then certainly the deep state, nefarious, malintent other side will be aware of it as well, and they can counter. So I appreciate the art of war in the fact that you need to not project what you're going to do, and you need to execute, attack, counter, under cover of night as much as possible. So take that for what it's worth. But that all being said, there are a few outlets out there, such as Scott McKay, who I've mentioned a number of times, and he's got his primary channel, Tipping Point Radio, apparently has been nuked, so that's gone. Now there's also what is it? I'm actually listening to it this morning. Patriot Street Fighter is a YouTube channel. There's also again, I'm kind of looking across my room. There's also Untold History Channel. That's a couple of his alternatives that he's using until they get nuked. As I mentioned, I like Simon Parks. I like some of the people that get engaged through Dr. Charlie Ward. And a lot of it kind of boils down to, your resonance. Who do you're through your discernment, who do you agree with? Who do you think makes sense? Who do you think kind of tells truths and gives you some color? But bearing in mind, they have to be careful how much they share. And I'm sure in some respects, some of them are kind of like me. They're reading the tea leaves and they're kind of giving you their interpretation based on what they're seeing. I have friends and extended family that have kind of concerns, and some of them are just have kind of thrown their hands up. Yeah, it is what it is. Biden's going to be the president, and we'll just have to kind of weather what comes next. Over the next 4 years until we get. I don't know what to say to some of those people that have kind of given up. Don't be the prey inside an anaconda that's just given up. Don't be that, because that's basically the scenario that you're looking at. So I truly believe that what we're going through right now is that kind of inflection in time where you pick a path, you pick a road, which direction you want to go. I'm on the good side. I'm on the white hat side. One way or another, that's the route I'm going. So, and I have ultimate confidence, that 99.9% confident that we're going to win. This has been planned for a long time, and I've already said in other videos, why I feel that way. So, to each his own. You can choose to be anxious, scared, emit that negative energy that those people feed on. That's not going to be me. That's not. I'm actually pretty excited about what we're seeing. We're finally at that point where we're effectively in a dark period. I know President Trump's going to be speaking today in Alamo, Texas. What does that tell you? Alamo, Texas. So we'll see what he has to say. I wouldn't expect him to project and tell you everything that they are doing, while we continue this fight. But I don't know. We'll see. I was a little disappointed in what Pompeo said yesterday. I was kind of expecting more, but it is what it is. So, again, as everybody has been doing their own amount of research up to this point, being exposed to the QAnon stuff, being exposed to a lot of the channels that are out there, and you've either chosen to believe it, intuit it, or disbelieve it. I don't necessarily believe things just out of hand. I tend to kind of intuit around it and take from them what they are. And and having an open mind is a great thing. There's some things that I hear that it could be true. It might be true. I hope it's true. I'll wait and see what happens. And as things move in respective directions, then, I either take comfort or don't take comfort in it. So as examples, child pedophilia. It makes a lot of sense to me. It resonates with me that a lot of this exists. You see the behavior of Hollywood. You see the behavior of our politicians. There almost has to be something behind their behavior that's dictating and driving what they're doing and saying. Like they're all being, I think in Washington, they all have baggage, serious baggage that's dictating and driving their behavior. They're getting paid nefariously through elites, and I'm sure they've got something on them that also drives kind of how they choose to behave and dictate and drive. They obviously, to date, outside of our current president, they have not been governing to the will of the people. Not at all. It's been obviously dictated and run by other means. I fully believe, and it makes perfect sense, that China has a heavy influence in our country, and they're probably well immersed in our political structures. I mean, look at some of our politicians and who their partners are. Interestingly enough, they're of Asian descent. So it may or may not be legit. Who the heck knows? And then again, the pedophilia in Hollywood and what's going on there, it resonates with me. And then you look at the financial system, which I think we all know that something has to change there. If you just look at the patterns of history and the ebbs and flows of our military actions and kind of where that goes, the tea leaves to me ring true on some of the stuff that I'm hearing. Again, not going into the weeds. I mean, it's all out there. You can go look it up. That resonates with me. So the financial system's going to have to get reset, to some cryptocurrency or something. The financial system corrupts everything. You look at the automotive industry, you look at the appliance industry. Again, I've said this before, so I don't like to repeat myself too much, but the financial system has to be fixed. So the reset the nefarious side is talking about is different than the reset our side is talking about. There are two different resets. Something has to happen. That inflection in time, that deflection in time and which path you take. If it on the spiritual side of things, I mean, there's this narrative around, your vibration level, and third density, fourth density, fifth density, and where you're going to go. There are people that are going to get left behind in the third density, and others that will evolve forward. So in any event, however you discuss it, however it materializes itself in where we're going, it will be interesting to watch. I don't say yes or no. Sometimes I just keep an open mind and I'll watch it play out, and I'll pick my path. And my path is towards the white hat, the fourth, fifth density evolution. But that financial system is going to have to be resolved because it corrupts everything. So I look at cars and how they were built once upon a time to how they're built now. They're built to break down over time so that there's a financial play there. Same thing with our appliance. Same thing with the medical industry is ridiculous. I, for one, and maybe I shouldn't say this here, but what the hell? I, for one, will never have another vaccine again. I'll never get another flu shot. I'll never do any of that because whether there's nefarious intent behind something or not, I'm going to let Mother Nature kind of take its course with me. So in any event, I'm kind of getting off on a tangent here. So I would just say, pay attention where you can. I do not watch the mainstream media at all. I don't even go to Sean Hannity to watch him talk to Mark Levin. Fine. I'm sure there's something there. All of that really talks to is stuff that I don't really care about anymore. It's really the symptoms of what we're going through that they're talking to, and I don't really care. I'm really more interested in the deeper play with bringing all these pedophiles in, bringing all these politicians in, winning the ultimate war that we are in, that I've been talking about for a while. It's now becoming mainstream exposed. We've been in a war for at least 4 years now, probably going beyond. But now it's mainstream relevant. So I don't watch the mainstream media. I've kind of isolated down my talking heads to just a few select people that I kind of listen to, and just to kind of get a sense of what's going on. Simon Parks has been phenomenal. Love this guy. Brighteon, if you go to that kind of that social media outlet, it's been really good with some of the folks that kind of come on there. Dr. Charlie Ward, watch them. I think with all of that going away, more and more of people like myself, not necessarily looking for a following per se. I've got a day job. I got things going on. If I ever get kind of an inspiration, I try to put something out there, an idea or a thought. Don't be fearful. Don't give them the negative energy they want. Don't let them divide you, because that's what they want to do. Divided, we are weak. It sounds like just a cliche, but it's true. Don't let them divide you. Be there for our president and the We the People movement. Come together, and if and when and where necessary, be ready to kind of defend your turf and defend your neighbors. We've been preparing for this for a while, whether you want to believe it or not. So you should be ready to sit back and, as they say, enjoy the show, and just be ready to do your part if and when it comes to that. President Trump is just someone that's kind of been carrying the flag. Love the guy. He's exactly what I was expecting, and I've been supporting. But he is just a leader at this moment in time, and we, the people behind him, are the ones that are going to carry the flag forward as this moves down the way it needs to. Government, as we know it, will completely reset. That is my sense, and that's what I see. And it's every day my convictions and beliefs in that are becoming stronger constantly. So our government is going to be completely reset one way, shape, or form. And I know that because they're all showing themselves for what they are. It cannot stand. It cannot carry forward the way it is. It needs to be nuked, and it needs to get reset, and we need to bring people in that represent us, and that fresh blood, that fresh breed, that fresh infusion of people. My hope would be that, depending on how closely we stay with the Constitution, which to me is foundational to all of this, term limits are implemented, and this new infusion of people won't be biased. They won't be influenced to not vote that into place. So I think term limits is critical. The financial system will get reset, so there's no financial way to be corrupted. I think that's going to be part of the next phase. And I think life as we know it is soon going to change for the better. It really is. So anyway, just I had a little bit of an inspiration. I was kind of listening to my few folks this morning. We are in somewhat of a dark period, though there is some select people to listen to. And so, and just so you know, I kind of record this stuff on my phone, on my own personal device, and then I upload it wherever it makes sense. I am using YouTube. So YouTube, Clout Hub's pretty good. Obviously, Parler has kind of gone south. I'll come back to that in a second. Rumble, been a little bit. Rumble performance-wise, I have really had a hard time uploading videos. And then I'm on Gab, but I haven't really done much there. So YouTube, Clout Hub has been pretty good so far. It could be a go forward platform because it allows for social media, Twitter-ish kind of chatter, but it also encapsulates videos that you can upload, and then BitChute. So YouTube, as it stands, it's still serving its purpose. Until I'm too little, I'm too irrelevant for I think for it to ever really go away. So that's probably going to be a continued avenue for me. BitChute, Clout Hub, and then the others that we already know about that's really been hit hard lately. So that's kind of where I'm uploading videos. It's a little bit redundant. I'm doing it times 3, but that's kind of where I'm kind of putting stuff. If you're curious, what my ID is, if you're looking for it, I'll let you can ask, and I'll respond as such. One point I did want to finish on is Parler. So I know Bongino and Bongino I've been a big fan of, even though he tends to be deep in the weeds, and I tend to be more of a 50,000 foot level guy. He's an investor in Parler. The thing I have trouble with on that is that Amazon can own the infrastructure and can control their bandwidth and their performance and whether it runs or not. Apple and Google can control whether it's on their devices or not. But number one, you have a laptop and you can get on a browser, so there's nothing that should prevent Parler from working via a browser. And then number two, I'm seeing a lot of people getting muzzled. I'm seeing a lot of people on Parler getting what's the word I'm looking for? They're getting marked, if you will, for saying the wrong things. That's not an infrastructure control. That's an application control. So I'm missing something on that front. So I think Bongino and the Parler team, I think they're dialing people back just like Twitter's doing. So I don't know. There's so many different alternatives out there. I'm not going to get too worked up over Parler if they decide to kind of join the deep state kind of approach to things. I could be wrong. Fine. To each his own. Everybody's got their own opinions, as you well know. But that seems sketchy to me because there's an application control mechanism and then there's infrastructure. And that shouldn't be happening. So anyway, again, just some general musings. Take it for what it's worth. Go in peace, be happy, be excited. We're finally here. We've worked towards this point. I suggest you kind of listen to the few kind of outlets that I've kind of made reference to. And if you have any more questions about where they are or around this, feel free to kind of ask me. And I recommend you guys out there do the same thing here too. I think we the people at some point need to kind of rise up, even if it's your voice, and kind of talk about, what you're seeing, what you're doing, where do we go for information. The more of us that are out there, the less relevant all of these little media, a lot of this really is. So anyway, go forth and we'll talk soon.